Hey everyone, welcome back to Bryan's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. I hope everyone is doing well. Apologies about this video taking a little bit longer than I thought, but the information was very difficult to come by. In this video, we're going to be talking about not only several disappearances, but disappearances that occurred in the first national park in the entire world. As stated, a lot of the information was hard to come by, so please bear with me. In today's video, we are going to be going to Yellowstone National Park all the way back to 1872 when it was first opened. If you haven't subscribed, I please ask you to consider subscribing. It's free. It really helps the channel. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about Yellowstone National Park. Unfortunately, it's one of the parks that people have just become more and more abusive. They don't obey the laws. They get too close to the animals. Sadly, because of this, the animals often have to be euthanized. It's just awful. Let's first look at a map of where Yellowstone National Park is. Now, back in 1872, when it was founded, Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho were not established states. They were considered territories or departments of the United States government. During that time, the American flag only had 37 stars. Here's a picture of it. This was between 1867 and 1877. Before we go any further, I just want to apologize about the audio. They're doing all this construction in my apartment complex. It's been just impossible for me to produce this video. Okay, so moving forward. This gentleman by the name of Dr. Ferdinand Hayden, pictured here, he was an explorer. The creation of the first national park is tied to the career of this man. He was a geologist, a medical doctor who was born in Massachusetts in 1829. He went to the College of Oberlin in Ohio. He graduated in 1850, eventually joined the Army during the Civil War, fought for the Union Army as a surgeon. This man, Dr. Hayden, and former President Grant were the basic founding fathers of this first national park in world history. The area would be preserved, quote, for the benefit and enjoyment of all people, all timber, mineral deposits, natural curiosities, or wonders would be kept in their natural condition. These are actual pictures from when the park was opened. This was an act of both Congress and President Grant. These are some actual pictures of when they were getting the park open. This is another picture have coming up of when the park did open. This was a seminal moment, not only for the United States, but the entire world. Of course, with this came many explorations before they could get this park open. And unfortunately, in a lot of those explorations, hiking the mountains, trying to find trails, there were many disappearances, and we're going to talk about just a few that I could even find. A lot of this wasn't even documented because there really was no monitoring of the park. There was no NPS, and we'll get into more of that. Most of the documents I could find were in newspapers back from the 1800s and the Library of Congress, which of course I'll have all documented in the description. The creation of Yellowstone National Park had many people involved, including a variety of articles and books about nature and wilderness. Several of the writers associated with the national park movement, including Clarence Dodden, Ferdinand Hayden, Clarence King, pictured here, Nathaniel P. Langford, John Muir. Dr. Hayden, though, is credited with most of the exploration and really being the driving force for this park opening. Unfortunately, like we've already discussed, there were disappearances. Many of these young men that went out to help explore and build trails were never heard from again. The families were often given just rambling stories by the other explorers that barely made it home alive themselves, either from basically almost dying of starvation or exposure. I even found records of parties going out and the men got so desperate that they intentionally separated. In one account, the one man literally said that he walked in circles for what he thought was 100 days, which turned out to only be a couple weeks, but he did thankfully make it home alive. but the 2 other men he went out with were never heard from again. There was no park service, barely any real rangers to speak of. There were only various small military bodies governing and overseeing these parks at the time. From what I could find, because of this, there's probably a lot more disappearances that we don't even know about. There were so many people willing to and volunteer to go out and help doing of the exploration, the mapping, and I can see why. Amazing things they saw. I mean, can you imagine seeing these waterfalls and geysers? It's breathtaking and overwhelming, and it has a sense of draw. That's why we all love to go to these parks. These pictures are all from 1872, this one specifically of a man looking out over a body of water that he was exploring. I'm sad to say that from all my research, there were many people that helped navigate these trails, but also went missing. It's a tragedy. At the same time, this park helped forge the beginning of the U.S. National Park System. These are some more pictures back from the time when they were exploring and seeing all these new things for the first time. As time passed, people wanted more of these parks and wanted more of these places to go and see. Then in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson established the National Park Service. This was a monumental event and helped forge the beginning of many new parks that we now all enjoy today. This was the first time there was an actual dedicated governing body of these national parks. These are some pictures of some of the first offices and some of the first park rangers. And this was a good thing. This brought in park rangers, people that would be working in these parks full time. But as we all know, even in our neoteric society, people go missing in national parks all the time, and all over actually. I'm sure there are going to be many opinions in every way, whether the National Park Service was a good thing or a bad thing, because according to David Paulides, they will not share how many people have disappeared in national parks, which I know for him and many people has been very frustrating. I know he's worked very hard to try and find out more. I think a lot of this sadly has to do with money. The Park Service is worried if they share that information, they won't get as many visitors. That's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. I wanted to make this video for several reasons. First, to show you the history behind the first national park. Also to pay tribute to all those that worked so hard to get the park going, and all those people that went out and explored and tried mapping it, and sadly many that disappeared and lost their lives. Just like in modern times, many of their families never got any closure, never knew what happened to their loved ones. They went out to try and help map and explore this new area and never returned. Dr. Hayden himself had many close calls. At the age of 38, he was made head of the U.S. Geological Service. I tracked down one letter from a widow that she wrote to a friend that she sent into one of these papers, and she said that her husband was a skilled outdoorsman. He left with a party of roughly 5. The rest of them came back, but they all had a different story of what happened to him. The fact that the National Park Service was not established until 1916. For decades, the nation's parks, reserves, and monuments were supervised at different times by various departments of the war, agriculture, and the interior. Think about it in terms of our modern day and our modern technology and all the disappearances that we still have no answers from. Now think about it back then when there was really no technology, no governing body until the early 1900s. So I'm guessing there were dozens and dozens more disappearances or deaths that we don't even know about. Ironically, in modern day, Yellowstone is never in the top list of most dangerous parks or for disappearances. It is one of the parks that is constantly in the news for people doing dumb things, getting too close to the animals, or jumping over the fences and actually putting their hands or foot in one of these crazy hot geysers. It's just unbelievable. I wanted to say thanks and send prayers to any of the descendants or loved ones of both those that dedicated their lives to making this park happen, and to those that lost their lives trying to help create the trail systems, the mapping. Without this park, who knows? But this was the foundation of not only the national park system as we know it today here in the United States, but worldwide. Ironically, both the Civil War and the Industrial Revolution were also responsible for people wanting to preserve land and to also see land that they had never seen before. See the Western territories, the Oregon Trail, and also the Lewis and Clark expedition. It brought more attention to this, and it really helped pave the way for more parks to be made, including one of the most popular and famous parks. Yosemite National Park opened in 1890, making it 134 years old. Thank you all for watching. As always, I appreciate all your feedback, your support, your comments. I always love hearing any suggestions you have. I still have a lot of the calendars available. Special thank you to co.ag for providing the background music. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me to the end. About the calendars, first I wanted to say thank you for everyone that submitted pictures. I only had 12 slots, so if your picture didn't get used, it wasn't because I didn't like it. I just had to choose 12 out of probably over 100 that I received. But I want to thank everyone that submitted pictures. I believe I've contacted everyone that did get their picture in the calendar, so if you got my email and you want a calendar, just let me know an address to send it to, and I will send it out. If there's any of you out there that want a calendar but are having trouble financially, I'll see what I can work out for you. It's a beautiful calendar that you guys were instrumental in making it happen this year. They are $25. That includes shipping. Also, if any of you are able to make a donation to the channel, $2, $3, $20, whatever, even comments to the channel, subscribing, it all makes all the difference, and I thank you. Also, if you have any case suggestions for me, anything like that, my email is always in the description. I'm currently working on a new video that I'm pretty sure no one has ever heard of this disappearance. As always, my sources and photo credits are in the description if you want to do further reading about this video. I'll see you next time.